995. Sometimes during the campaign season, I'll go ahead and tell you about Lonnie's Furniture Company, and then I'll get started on my content. I'm digging into something during the break that's kind of fun for me. But yeah, of course, Lonnie's Furniture. They're through the weekend. I don't know what your plans are this weekend, but furniture shopping can be a drag. It's not something I would look forward to if I didn't know about Lonnie's. Lonnie's is just, it's a nice store. The people there are so welcoming and helpful, or not. I like it when they know, folks, wherever I'm shopping, know when to dial it down and let me look, or step in when I need some things answered. And they're just good at that. Sometimes you're going to need some advice pulling things together, and they'll help you with that too. It's a name brand that's been around for 93 years. And John and Reggie just a couple of years ago took it to another level by building a furniture superstore and taking a huge older building that they had previously used for a warehouse and turning it into a giant, beautiful showroom. So go in there and look at living room and dining room and all the things for your house, accessories, inside, outside. And the thing to know is they just don't sell cheap things. They won't sell cheap furniture. It's nice stuff, stuff you're going to want in your home, stuff your friends are going to ask about one in their homes. And you're going to always get value. Even when they're not running a sale, you can walk in there anytime and see the pricing all over that store and go, that's a fair price for that couch. And it's why day in and day out, whenever the need arises, you've got Lonnie's Furniture there to help you with your shopping. I was making this point yesterday. I was driving back from North Alabama yesterday morning past the exit. I wanted to swing in there and say hey to everybody, but I mean, I was running against the clock, needing to get back to the radio station. And I thought about the drive itself and how far people must have to go from, say, we've got such a wide coverage area. And I'm telling you, it's still worth the drive. It's still worth schlepping it for an hour or so, depending on where you are. If you're way down around Clanton, it's a pretty good haul. But you've got so much in one place, and it beats driving through traffic all over Birmingham, hopping from store to store and seeing inconsistency. Sometimes you go downtown, there are these haughty stores that overprice everything on purpose so they can feel exclusive. And they got ugly, weird, artsy stuff. Then you got these cheap stores that smell like plastic when you walk in. It smells like a Chinese crate right off the ship. That's not what you want either. You go to Lonnie's and get the beautiful stuff. Lonnie's Furniture Company. Tell them we said hey when you get there. Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com. Man, it's been an event-filled afternoon. We've had the Tiger Woods arrest for DUI. Still trying to get some follow-up on that. We got the Senate abandoning the House and going home on recess, leaving them with a crappy bill that can't be passed, and everybody else in the country hanging. It's one of the more cowardly things I've seen in a long, long time. And in that regard, I've been a little hard on Tommy Tuberville and Katie Britt. I don't know if they came home or not. I'm just saying if they did, they need to go back. Everybody needs to go back until this is passed. It wasn't passed just because they did something dirty in the middle of the night and then counted on the House to rubber stamp it and then bolted. And when there's video of them all over the internet getting on planes and leaving town, and it was just, that's disgusting. There are people with serious situations. These people went and took their time off. But speaking of Tuberville, I just heard a hit ad on him. The first time I heard it was this morning when I was out driving around. It's airing on our station. So I'm always interested in when this stuff starts. And I want to give you all an anatomy of dirty politics, and it's why we get the kind of representation we get. If you are disgusted with Congress right now, you're put out with some of our leadership, it's this kind of pay-to-play money politics that is so deceptive, and it's why it's hard to control narratives and get proper people in office. It's why some people don't run. So here's how the ad goes. You may have heard it in one of the previous breaks. They got two fake people. These are voiceover actors to pretend to be Southern, which is insulting to us. It's a classic formula. And they're about, have you heard about Tommy Tuberville making all that money in the stock market while he's in the Senate? He just like Nancy Pelosi. And they go through saying that he's made millions in the stocks while he's been in the Senate over businesses he regulates. Tommy Tuberville, he just like Nancy Pelosi. And the whole point is to have you hear two things: Tommy Tuberville, stock market, money, Pelosi, and leave you with that. And then they quickly say who paid for the ad, and then the ad's over. Now, as far as the content of the ad, they don't make any accusation that's either illegal or even inappropriate. Congress people do have money invested in stocks. And I've actually been through a campaign where this stunt was tried and it backfired on the person that did it. I can go through that whole story. It's one of the funniest things in my memory in the history of politics, because they were so willfully deceiving the public over the stock trade issue A lot of Congress people already, Tommy Tuberville had millions before he decided to run for Senate. He didn't get rich off being in politics. Tommy Tuberville was rich before he got there. And he doesn't regulate anything. Senators don't regulate anything. What Nancy Pelosi's accused of is insider trading, because there are specific allegations of information she became aware of, and then immediately there were stock trades before that information became public. There is a direct line between events that can be connected back to her portfolio and the performance. None of that is spelled out against Tuberville. It's just that he owns some stock, that he's made money in the stock market. So did everybody else that ran up to 50,000. And somehow he's Nancy Pelosi now. So it's dirty, and it's incomplete. There's nothing sourced in there at all. It's slinging mud for slinging mud's sake. So it immediately raises questions. Well, who paid for this? And why now? You know, it's not Tuberville's Republican opponents. I don't think they have the money to be running sleaze ads, or maybe it is. Maybe he's got an opponent. And here's where the dirty part of politics comes in. Again, I'm doing an autopsy on this ad. I'm going to do this through the campaign. By the way, Barry Moore has got a real energetic ad right now defining himself as a Trump guy. I kind of like the music on it and some good things about it, but you know, he'll get questioned later. All of these guys will be under the microscope, but he's out with his ads. And then we got some other candidates, random people I've never heard of running stuff. It's pretty boring. You're hearing all the trite phrases about the conservative with vision. I wish we could play a drinking game and I could tell you all the phrases they're going to use. Y'all have heard them. Conservative, vision, Trump. AJ, if we did a Republican ad drinking game, we'd all be hammered by the end of the show.
Yes, we would.
They got to talk about how poor they were growing up, even if they weren't. Veteran. I'm a veteran. And some of them aren't. But anyway, that's a whole nother story we'll get into at some point. But on this ad, so it says it's paid for, I heard them say, paid for by the Alabama Leadership Fund. I'm like, what the hell is that? So what they do, classic setup, they create a generic name that just could be anything. So I said, well, what is the Alabama Leadership Fund? So I did some checking real quick during the breaks. Real easy to trace this stuff down. If it's the same entity, this thing was incorporated in January of this year, down in Montgomery, by a company called CT Communications. I still don't know what that is. And their address is in one of the RSA buildings, the retirement systems, down on Jackson Street. I'm trying to remember who all's in that building. It's that big, tall tower on North Jackson. If you know Montgomery, you know where the RSA buildings are. They're all over. So it's some lobbyist that usually it's lobbyists and some other consultants and people that'll use their address to create a fake company. So here's what we have. We have a non-specific allegation meant to dirty up Tuberville, a source of money that we can't find because they did it through a nonprofit, and eventually it's money laundering. So they laundered money from some entity that's got enough money to get a spot up, that had planned on running this spot all the way back to January, when they incorporated something for this election year called the Alabama Leadership Fund, which is not even a thing. They don't have a purpose or anybody listed as an officer. Well, I'm going to keep looking at this groups, but they're trying to dirty up Tuberville. They're trying to do it by tying him to Pelosi. The irony here is it could be the Democrats who, again, Tuberville doesn't have a very moneyed opposition. And so if an outside group is going to do this and sling the mud on behalf of Canada to try to bring, the purpose of a negative ad is just to bring down favorability. It's the fave-unfave thing starts to play into how you do at the polls. So let's just take Doug Fluke. His organization knows he's got probably 38% of the vote in any election, no matter what. So they got to close that gap, and they better start doing it now. And the other thing to know is there are spending windows in each election cycle. There's one in the primary, there's one in the runoff, and there's one in the general election. And you can, not really spending, but fundraising windows. And so they're probably trying to, within this window, because he doesn't have very fierce competition, they're trying to go after him with a smear campaign again, nebulous, vague stuff that doesn't mean anything. But I'm fascinated with the mechanics of it. Where did the money come from? How did they get set up? Why are they doing this now? Who's behind it? And so again, it's a no-name group that just got set up to sling dirt. This is exactly how they got Katie Britt elected. They couldn't give her directly millions, so you set up money laundering PACs and groups and nonprofits, and you just run campaigns. And listen to the ad when you hear it running. If you're running an independent expenditure, y'all, this is just inside baseball. It may be boring to most of you, but I think it's interesting. I've lived in this world and actually worked for an IE group before that did the same stuff. You have to have a call to action. In other words, you can't advocate for the election or the defeat of somebody. So they don't do that in the spot. They just call Tommy Tuberville a stock trading SOB, and he's basically Nancy Pelosi in a suit, and try to guilt by association. They try to associate him with a nasty Democrat that everybody in Alabama hates. She would not poll well, so you put those two in the same ad. And you have to have a call to action in the spot somewhere. That's the point of a nonprofit, having the ability to money launder and pretend they're just running an advocacy ad, which is an issue advocacy ad, in order for it to qualify as that and not a campaign ad, right? It has to have a call to action. You notice at the end of the spot, what do? Call Tommy Tuberville and ask him about his stock trades. So that's a call to action. The perception is they're a group that's been formed against insider trading, and they're calling out Tuberville for something they know. Well, they don't put it in the ad. If they got some info on it, maybe they should put that in the ad. Or maybe this is a setup because they have pulled some stock trades and suspect some timing, and they're going to hit him later with that. Could be. But it's interesting because it's early. It's about, I don't even think Tuberville's spending money yet. But there it is right here on our air. Now, we can't refuse candidate ads from federal races. You can refuse these group ads, and I'm not in charge of that, and I really don't care because I do the content of the show, and I let the company that owns the station sell what they want in the breaks. But that's it's fascinating to me that we've already started in on the same kind of third-party, dirty ad war stuff that works. Here's the sad part about it. The reason we have giant losers in our government is because manipulative groups like this that create fake causes just to sling political mud with millions of other people's dollars, they're controlling elections all over this country the exact same way. And this is the stuff we got to clean up. The first thing you can do as a citizen is don't be gullible and believe these things. I mean, none of these things are accurate. Even the ads that are on behalf of the candidates that fluff them up as the second coming, and, you know, a guy that's tough as old shoe leather and he's going to do the right thing. He's going to fight. That's another word they'll overuse. None of that's true either. They're just resume fluffing, trying to get elected. But these negative ads that people claim they don't like, they actually move numbers. And that's what this is designed to do. They're trying to drive up negatives against Tuberville, plant a seed of doubt, as one consultant told me when I was learning this craft as a young political activist and working in this stuff. You don't have to prove anything. You just got to plant a seed of doubt. That's the whole point of dirty ads. You don't have to make your case in 30 seconds. You can't make a case in 30 seconds, but you plant that seed of doubt, you drop the accusation, and you run, and you hide the spending behind a fake group at an anonymous address that's as fake as a Somali leering center. And that's what you have for American politics nowadays. So there's your autopsy. You're welcome. We'll go to the phones on the other side. Work Trucks bringing you the show tonight. TRUX. If you got a business or an organization that needs a truck, they got your trucks downtown Birmingham. Y'all go and look at them. Box trucks, service trucks, anything you need, pre-owned, already vetted. They go 125 points through these trucks. They've done all that work that sucks when you're trying to run a business and you got to waste time on trying to find a truck for your fleet. All that work's been done. You go kick tires, find the one that suits your task, and get back to work. They've got financing, again, extended warranties, and you'll just appreciate Bubba and them. It's a great team. If they don't have what you want, let them track it down for you. You put an X in there when you spell it if you want to go online. TRUX, WorkTrucksLLC.com, WorkTrucksLLC.com. It's 524, Leland Live, talking to M5, Alabama Bass. Also bringing you the show tonight. Y'all, if you want to improve that home or somebody's lifestyle, you got an elderly relative or you yourself want to make it easier to get clean every day and get refreshed with independence, y'all check it out with Alabama Bath. Their product is just superior to everything else that's out there. You're dealing with a family that's been doing this stuff for 40 years, and they love what they do, and they love their customers. They're going to do the work in 2 days, and when they leave, that old tub's gone. You got an easy entry system or a sit down system. They do bathtub replacements. And I realize I just said doo in the middle of a bathtub ad. I guess they can do toilets for you too. They can do the whole thing. The Alabama Bass can blow your whole bathroom out. But the thing we talk a lot about is this quick fix, beautiful quality system they put in to get your life back. It's alabamabass.com, alabamabass.com. All right, let's hit the phones. We'll go to Mark the Cop next. What's up, Mark the Cop? AJ, line 4. Hey, there he is. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what you were talking about a minute ago, that is fascinating stuff, and we do live in a soundbite society.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, if you really want to understand how people can be misled, you study the work of 3 people, Joseph Goebbels, Edward Bernays, and Saul Alinsky. You read about those people, you read some of the stuff they've written, and you'll never be fooled in politics again.
It's true. Absolutely. Anyway, you're 100% right.
I called to tell you, you are exactly right about how to deal with the police. It's really quite simple when you think about it. We're just people doing a job, so don't lie to us. Don't insult our intelligence. Don't get abusive, and don't get hostile.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my philosophy when I worked patrol always was, for most people, just getting stopped is enough. But, some people simply will talk their way into a ticket. I'm sitting at a red light. Light turns green facing me, and some guy comes out of a side street wide open, crosses the intersection right in front of me. I get him stopped a couple of blocks over. As I approach the car, he sticks his head out the window and says, "Hi, good afternoon, sir." Next words out of his mouth, "I hope you don't think I ran that red light." Guess whether or not you got a ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're just calling the cop a liar and insulting their intelligence and just being a fool. The thing is, I was thinking about when you're rude to a waiter, the worst thing's going to happen. Maybe they're going to spit in your food. Just be nice to people. But you rude to a cop and you decide to resist, you might just get your ass whooped and wind up in jail, and that's a bigger consequence.
Yeah, well, a lot of these people nowadays, they are like these Looney Tune Democrats and ICE attackers and so forth. I had this one young lady go off on me one day, screaming at the top of her lungs about there was no such law. She actually dialed 911 from her cell phone to complain about me. I wrote her a warning because I didn't want to have to drag her out of the car and take her to jail and spend the rest of my shift dealing with her. But I wrote the code section down, told her to look it up. But this girl was just out of her mind. And there's more and more people like that, thanks to, a number of factors.
It's dumbasses teaching each other how to be dumbasses, and then the internet making everybody neurotic and jumpy and paranoid, and it's just it's coarsening all of society. And I can't imagine. I couldn't do your job, Mark. I'd shoot somebody on the first outing. I mean, the first night I was out, the first time somebody gave me a I'd blow a hole in them, and I'd be out of a job and probably in jail myself.
Well, let me tell you this little story, Leland, and then I'll let you go. Sometimes, you can get some amusement out of it. About 30 years ago, and that's how you know you're old, by the way, when all your stories start off that way.
Yeah, counting about
I'm
decades.
sitting at a T-shaped intersection on the down leg of the T at a red light when the bottom falls out. I mean, it is raining like a cow on a flat rock. No problem, I think. As soon as I get the green light, I'll go across the intersection, pull up under the shed at those gas pumps, and get my rain gear out of the trunk. As soon as the light turns green facing me, 1, 2, 3 vehicles blow through the red light wide open, throwing up 20-foot rooster tails. I pull in behind the last one, get him stopped. Now, this was a full-size GM sedan respectable people car. There were respectable people in there. This was back when 40 years old was an adult. Okay, very middle class people. I get his driver's license, run it, write the ticket. I go back up there, standing in the pouring rain. I tell the fella, "I've written you a ticket for running that red light." Now this guy, nicely dressed, in his 40s, is sitting next to what I took to be his wife, sitting there with her hands folded neatly in her lap, looking down, trying hard to be invisible. I said, "This is a red light ticket." "I didn't run that red light." "Yes, sir, you did. In fact, you were the third one through it." And then he looks at me and says, "Well, why didn't you stop those other two?"
Oh, man, we got to go, Mark. Sorry about that. Sometimes around springtime, people get house fever. You start to want to buy, sell. There's a spring market. And if you're looking around, and I'm telling you, one of the best things in the world to do, and this is always the case, no matter whether the markets are up or down, get pre-approved, get true approval, not just these conditional approvals ahead of time for your lending, and then you'll know where you are. That does a lot of things. It tells you your range of what you can afford, so you're not disappointed. You don't try to go bite off more than you should be able to buy. Or maybe you're qualifying for more than you realize and you could afford a house you thought you couldn't afford. That's always good to know. But when you make an offer, and it's competitive right now, but when you make an offer, if you got your financing lined up, that's like cash in hand to a seller. There are no contingencies in there whether you're going to get approved. I've seen sellers take less money for a known deal than taking a deal or an offer from someone that can't get approved or they're not sure about, and then they lose all that time on the market. That makes sense, right? If you've ever sold, you understand that dilemma. Stockton Mortgage can help you get that squared away. If you're not even shopping yet, go ahead and do the due diligence. It takes a minute. There's some things that have to be done to get you qualified, but they'll do that for you. And then coach you on your credit. Maybe you want to make some moves, get rid of some credit card stuff or move some things around, just get your score up. They've got an analysis tool, several analysis tools that can help you with that prospect too. SaveWithStockton.com, SaveWithStockton.com. That's a website. Phone number's right there. They set it up just for this audience. SaveWithStockton.com. All right, AJ, is Jimmy the Greek still there? I kind of lost track of who's on the board. There he is. I hear the phones. Jimmy, what's up, buddy?
Hey, real quick, it's almost ironic, is it not, that you were talking about Tommy Tuberville and telling him to get his butt back in town, and then sure enough, this ad comes on while I'm listening to the show.
Yeah.
Glad you responded like you did. Those ads are ridiculous. Would like to know a little bit more about, what he invests in. Just, let him be an open book. It's not that big a deal. I doubt seriously that it's even close to anything compared to what all his colleagues do in both parties. But going back to another matter, I had a great time out at Birmingham Broker checking out these electric bikes today, and Keith is in there and said to tell you guys hello.
Good. All right.
I got me a T-shirt. That's all I could get today. But I found a bike that I like. I'm going to have to, look it up and get a little more specs on it. He said the only problem, Keith says he's a motorcycle guy. He can race motorcycles. He's sharp. He said the only thing about these electrics is they're like a two-stroke lightweight dirt bike. They want to lift up and do a wheelie as soon as you give them a little juice. So you got to be real careful on the front end. But he said once you get it moving, that they're a blast. I didn't test ride one, but I'm telling you, they're beautiful bikes. You guys have done a great job because there are a bunch of young guys out there with their dads or their parents checking out the bikes, since they're still on spring break. And I'm telling you, they're going to sell the heck out of those. And I can't wait to get one. I got a place up in North Carolina. It's all dirt roads, and I got a place to park it that's perfect for just getting out and going. He said these bikes are – I talked to Andrew also, young guy. He's been there for about 6 months, and they said, dirt roads, these things would be heaven on earth. I was looking at them going, oh, yeah, I already know. I've already visualized my fun in the sun up there in the mountains. But I can't wait to get one. One other thing, real quick, let me think here. Oh, I was going to tell you, you asked last time why I went to Mexico.
Yeah.
I was telling you about going through customs and everything. I went down there for the food. I was eating like a king.
Oh, I bet.
3 meals a day, eating out for $20 a day, and that included beer and whatever else we got. And I'm telling you, I'm planning on going back, but I got to learn Spanish first. I mean, I was ready to come home because I don't know enough Spanish yet to get around by myself. I had to go out with a couple of people who were, bilingual. But next time I go, I did go out and get a haircut by myself, and it looks good. He was able to understand me, and I was able to understand him. Like, I want a haircut. And that cost $5, man, for a great
A
haircut.
$5
I
haircut.
couldn't believe how cheap it all was.
You got a $5 haircut in Mexico.
I
That's
got
a
a
story.
$5 haircut.
Yeah, there you go.
It's crazy. It was crazy. Anyway, I'm going back down there probably next fall. I was in the southern part, perfectly safe where I flew in.
Yep.
They were nice as can be. The area I was in, nice as can be. The only thing that's different, well, a few things are different. They're not, the kids behave down there. The parents behave. They take care of their elders, and they live together. You know, the grandparents don't get kicked out of the house or anything.
They get intact
So it's a
families, and
different
they know how to
culture.
parent, for sure.
They were extremely polite to us, those of us who were clearly gringos. They call us whiteys, and they like whiteys' money. That's for sure.
They like to give Whitey a $5 haircut. That's the way it goes. All right, Jimmy, I appreciate the stories, man. That's good stuff right there, and especially the motorcycles. We'll tell y'all more about those as Craig and Keith and those guys get ready to open that up. Back to the ad for a second. I did that analysis at the beginning of the hour over this dirty spot that's up, and it's not just a defense of Tuberville. It is an analysis of why politics is just so dishonest. And one other point I wanted to make that I did not make when I was going through this they call it a PAC ad, but it's really not even a PAC. It's just, anyway, people have an assumption that if you can say it in an ad, there must be some truth to it. It's just like in the old days of newspapers. If it was in print, there must be truth to it, because you couldn't print that, right? Or you wouldn't be allowed to say that, right? And the dirty truth is it's the opposite. No one polices the content of these things. You can say anything you want in a political spot. Those are facts, and know that. You can make any vague accusation you want. It's all done through implication. You don't have to, unless you're challenged, unless, say, a campaign brings a lawsuit, and I've been part of this too, where we had to get ads pulled down, and you go to a TV station or radio station, and you present that your candidate is being falsely accused. You can have those ads pulled down. Sometimes the station, out of fear of liability, will just pull the spot. And only if it's one of these PAC spots or it's some issue group that is running the ad. What you need to understand is in the federal races for federal office, and in our case, that'd be our congressman and the Senate race. Those are the only races where you can't censor. Congress set that up nicely, didn't they? You can't censor a candidate's spot. I'll tell you an old story that I've told before over the years. I was still in television in early 96 when the campaigns were going on, and it was Jeff Sessions versus a guy named Sid. It might have been Sid McDonald, but anyway, he had an opponent Jeff Sessions had an opponent in the primary. And one of the candidates, and I forget which one, I think it was the McDonald campaign, ran an ad that looked like a TV newscast. I mean, it had an anchor desk. There were two anchors sitting there. Even the desk looked a lot like the TV set at Channel 6, which is where I worked. And so the ad popped up, and our news director flipped out. She felt like that was an attack on our news product, that they were pretending to sort of do our product and get across some information, pretending to be a newscast. So it offended her sensibilities as a news director. And she was a pistol too. And so she ran upstairs to where those ads are. In those days, they were actually on physical tapes and machines. And she found the machine where that ad had just run and pulled it out of there and physically pulled the ad. I think that's even where that phrase would come from. And she pulled that tape down and then almost got fired over that. And she didn't realize that we don't have any authority as a television station at the time to censor a federal candidate's ad. That was a candidate ad. So here's what I'm saying. I'm just giving y'all a behind the scenes education, because you're about to be inundated with this stuff. And it makes my stomach churn. I mean, it's so dishonest, and people are so easily deceived or turned off. Part of an ad like the one that's running now on Tuberville, I could see I try to put myself in the position of coming up with a strategy to write a script like that. It's to drive up Tuberville's negatives, but it's also to depress the Republican vote in the fall, I would presume. It's to turn you off from your candidate So you're not too fired up to go vote for him. Trump's not on the ballot. And so the best hope for any Democrat candidate is, or cause that would be anti-Tuberville, is to weaken him as much as you can and hope for some miracle or some apathy on the part of particularly Trump voters. And if the Republicans in the Senate aren't going to do enough of the job for the Democrats to depress the MAGA vote and to make everybody just want to throw their hands up and quit on all of them by the stunt they pulled today. And also they're going to wind up killing the SAVE Act. They're just killing their own brand, but they're helping the Democrats with that. There are people that listen to me every day that don't really consider themselves Republicans, but have no choice but to vote for them. Or you're going to put actually, this commie regime in that's taking over the Democrat Party. And you want to fight that with everything you can. I've been a commie fighter since 1979 when I became politically aware. And so some of us would want to resist those people. But all you got to throw at them are these weak-ass Republicans who are bailing on us in the Senate. So you're already demoralized, and you don't want to give anybody false loyalty. And so the Democrats, it's an easy push for them. And what's funny about this particular spot to me, and you'll hear it running, you may even hear it in the next 2 or 3 breaks, is that these are probably people aligned with the Democrat Party, but they're using Nancy Pelosi, their own Queen Bee, to dirty up a Republican. And why would you do that? Because she's unpopular. The last villain was Kamala Harris. You tie somebody to her, death. At least in Alabama, it's just political death. She was an embarrassment. But now they're going back to the Pelosi thing and just trying to guilt that. And all of these spots will be that way. We have no choice but to listen to them sometimes because they're on our air. We don't control it. And by the way, another myth. I'm just spending some time on this right now. I hope it's helpful. Another myth is, yes, there is substantial revenue that comes in during political season to our radio station and to other stations. The first thing to know is it doesn't influence what we talk about because we don't know, we don't schedule those things, we don't care. Because what it does to us, those of us that are on the air, while there is revenue that comes in, it bumps our long-term advertisers we've got relationships with, that the audience got relationships with. It squeezes our content and sometimes squeezes their spot schedules around because there's another rule that federal candidates created for themselves. Not only can you not bump them out and censor them, you have to give them the lowest cost of anything that you've charged in that period. It's called lowest unit cost. And so you have to charge them less, and they get to come in, and you can't edit their schedule that they want, and you can't edit their content, and they get to bump your regular advertisers around. And it sucks because we get them all in, and it gets a little crowded, but it can kind of, it's more disruptive than it is profitable, really. Even though every broadcast station and I guess nowadays digital outlet will take that revenue, it doesn't control anything, and it doesn't influence it. So it's more of a pain in the ass. But here it comes, and we got 2 straight months of it, a little bit more than 2 months of it. And I'll try to call balls and strikes on it. I can't vet every ad, and we'll focus on the larger candidates. And when somebody's lying about how great they are, I'll try to let you know that too. But if somebody's falsely being smeared, I don't care who it is, we'll try to get to the bottom of it. But it's up to us to listen to these things with skepticism. The other trick that works in that medium that really starts to become effective is just repetition. Even though it's a lie or it's conjecture or it's a reach, they just keep saying it. And it's the human condition to believe something you've heard repeatedly must have some truth to it. So people have a default to think, well, if they put it in an ad, there might be some truth to it. And then the next default is, yeah, I heard that. How many times have you heard people say that? The internet is doing the same thing right now with the way the algorithms work. They reinforce. You click on I've been looking at tractors and tractor parts lately. I'll click on a tractor. Next thing you know, I got more tractors. I got more stories about tractors. It's feeding me what I've already stopped to look at. And that's true of some of these political things, some of this political ideology. It works in advertising. It works in the space of ideas and policy. So they're inundating people with stuff that's completely untrue, and it's repetition. It's like when you're playing a casino game, they want to keep you, your eyes on the casino game and keep you playing with speed with your hands to try to win back your losses. You get addicted that way. They're addicting people to the internet. Same thing. Reputation, concise message, just a seed of doubt, repetition, and dirty people up, drive their negatives up, and hurt people from wanting to turn out for them. It's a formula that I've seen work too many times, and we get a lot of bad leadership out of that system. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just how it is, other than stand here and do my best to call it out when we see it. Ox Foundation Solutions also bring you the show tonight. We talk about your foundations every day on the show because they've been with us for years. And it's one of those things, just like when I talk about Greg at Storm Restoration and your roof. If you're not having problems, you're not thinking about it. But you do need to look. You need to look around and be a good steward of your house and check for things. And I'm not trying to cost you money or find trouble, but you'd rather find it early and do the preventive maintenance. If you know you've got an issue, and sometimes it's not going to manifest itself till, say, summertime when the humidity kicks in and suddenly things smell a little funky. You can almost smell moisture. By the time it gets in the air and you can smell it, you got problems. Your house air is sick. You don't want a sick house. Ox handles all this stuff. If it's water intrusion, if it's just dampness, wet stuff, mold, black mold, you start getting that creeping through your walls, let them remediate that for you, and then let them encapsulate and get that taken care of. Some of that starts with a crack or erosion or a shift or something that's out of whack. Your house needs to be square and plumb. It was built that way and it needs to stay that way, or everything else can be affected. Ox can come fix all of it, all the way from putting helical piers in the ground and leveling the whole property, all the way up to just doing the water removal and the crack repair and everything that goes with that. These are good folks. I think they're the best in the business, totally professional, the latest technology. This is who you want underneath your house. Oxstrong.com is their website, oxstrong.com. We'll come back to wrap up here in just a minute. Lead on Live. All right, one more time for Allen and company, the Thompson family over there in Vestavia, for anything you got going on. Maybe you want to treat yourself, or maybe it's gift giving. From time to time, you just want something beautiful, and they got a store full of it. It's a small shop by design. They are not trying to be one of these big mall stores or one of these chain stores with all the trappings. You know, you walk in, they sort of feel like they got you in a box, and they hit you with this sales jive and start, there's just a program that they try to put their customers through to maximize sales. That's so corporate-y. This is just the Thompson family. They've been in the jewelry business for years. It's two or three generations in there sometimes, taking care of their customers and putting their best foot forward and helping you with your decisions and taking all the time in the world you need to make your mind up, whether it's a big thing like an engagement setting or something more modest, just a nice gift for somebody. Always a good selection of all of that. For men, too, there are nice things in there for men, too, ladies. Once you get to know the Thompsons, you'll have a place to take your things to get them repaired and cleaned and upgraded and whatever else you want to do with them. Sometimes chains break or prongs need to be tightened, and it's good to trust the Thompson family and Allen to keep it in their vault and do the work right there and get it right back to you within a week. That's their commitment. Go see them. Make them your personal jewelry store, too. Good central location right over there in Vestavia, Alabama. One more time about the fire warning. Alabama is under a red flag warning, especially through Saturday morning, maybe probably through the weekend. We're going to have wind gusts. We got a big old cold front coming in. It's going to chill things off tomorrow. A wind gust as high as 30 miles an hour. The humidity's real low right now, so don't be burning. Do not be burning. AJ, I'm going to Monster Jam tomorrow night with my grandson.
Oh yes, because I know that Grave Digger.
He likes Megalodon, the big shark one.
Oh yeah.
I took him 2 years ago. He's talked about it for 2 years, so we're finally getting to go back. He's bringing his little cousin.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed to come join me on the show, but they couldn't get here in time. But we're gonna have a big old time. We'll take some pictures.
Man, it makes me think about back in the day. Had Bigfoot was like the biggest one.
Yeah. Have you ever taken Marshall? You should take him sometime.
I will. You know that. I got to get him comfortable with loud noises and stuff.
Oh, it's super loud.
Yes.
And it's stupid as all get up, but it brings out the kid in you at the same time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Y'all have a good weekend too, AJ.
All right, man. You do the same. Be safe this weekend and enjoy your time with your grandkids. And stay tuned for Breaking Bread coming up next. Goodbye, AJ.